Good morning, everybody. It's me, Wattles, and welcome back to the Minecraft Guide. In today's episode, in honor of day 850-ish and the conclusion, the grand finale of this chapter of the series, we're gonna take a look back at everything that we've done up until this point right here. A little bit of a good old-fashioned world tour. There are 2 jobs for you to do right now, maybe 3. If you're an underachiever and you haven't yet, tap that like button, that's fine. Down below in the comments, I would love to hear your favorite project or build that we've taken on so far up until this point in the series. And then finally, if you haven't heard yet, we're keeping this world for Minecraft 1.21, but we're gonna do something a little bit fun to spice it up, at least at first. In the comments, alongside your favorite build, drop me a challenge, something that I need to do once this world updates to 1.21. Say, for example, to unlock the farms over at this base, I need to build a new farm. So do all that for me real quick. Sorry, I know it's a bit of a checklist, and sit back and relax and get cozy. It's time for a little trip down memory lane. Home sweet home, or at least the original one, where our journey, the big tail adventure into the Minecraft Guide began just about 1 year ago, almost exactly. So we kicked everything off inside of this world in Minecraft 1.20. I was doing a little bit of nostalgia digging into this series to figure out when the last time I did a world tour was, and surprisingly, that was like 4 or 5 months ago now, day number 500. When we kicked things off inside of this world, well, I think it was like approximately, specifically like right here or something like that. After we spawned in, we moved over to Founder's Tree, took a log out of it, replaced it with a crafting table, and until this very day, approximately 850 or so, it stood as strong. This is the true founder and kind of owner of the entire world. Now, right off the bat, we kind of hit the ground running with the goal of making a zone that has pretty much all of the essentials right at spawn for a small, simple base. This little house right here, I had you guys name it in the comments right here. Cozy Cottage, home sweet home. Or at least I think I had you guys name it. I don't know, it's been a minute. Either way, it's an homage to the legend himself, Paul Suarez Jr. Now, inside of the house, excuse it, it's a little dusty. It's been a while since I've been here, but we do have some classic stuff, good things that I've obtained, and I think the very first wooden pickaxe and other wooden tools of the world. So, you know, kind of an emotional space. Out back right here, while we're on that emotional train, well, might as well, oh man, the poor first zombie, the victim of the world. Over here, this little sweet berry thing, I think that was my very first food setup of this world too. There's just so much emotions over here. We got the first cow crusher, a couple other early game farms that we set up, and yeah. Now this series is the Minecraft Guide. The goal of every single episode is to like enlighten you, educate you on something inside of Minecraft. So we did like a whole furnace episode early on, kind of talked about the smoker, the classic furnace, the blast furnace, and like their big differences. Now this whole area over here, furnace building, a tall blue potion factory, this was essentially our whole hub of operations all the way up until the dragon fight. We did a little episode talking about potions, the basics of it, farmed some nether wart over here, and even went hard with the mob proofing. I think this whole area is basically mob proof, at least on this side of the river. To kick off the series, we also built a beautifully gigantic at the time a sweet berry farm. Not so brand new anymore, berry collection out now in honor of it still. But yeah, this is kind of where I started to take things a little bit larger scale. It's still on the to-do list, to be honest, is to come back around and maybe like take the berries and make them a little bit bigger. Maybe over at like the new base or something like that. Harvest all this stuff and make the farm like a huge, large, mega scale op. I was having my time over here too, like really just decorating in this area. I have a lot of great memories of just doing the small details and making this feel nice. We got a little simple bridge. We've got the beautiful nether swartle right over here. This is probably my favorite nether portal I ever built. And then, of course, what good is an early game base without some source of infinite experience? Yes. So straight across the river over here, I kind of have 2 docks connecting it. If you do the world download, which by the way, world download, the final one of 1.20 era, out right now for channel members. Hit that join button for more. Oh yeah, if you end up checking out the world download, hopefully the tour will help guide you throughout the world. But anyways, across the river, we jumped down a whole tunnel. I always wanted to come back and build a building there, just haven't done it yet. But anyways, right over here, down under the ground, the first and not really the best experience farm in the world, but a pretty consistent one. It's built out of a zombie spawner, which beautifully in 1.21 when we update the world, I mean, all of this stuff is still gonna work. So this farm isn't gonna have any problems at all. We got our first enchanting setup right here that gets us all the way to level 30, and then a couple of extra supplies. For the longest time, I think that was my only depth strider boots. Since then, I've gone ahead and, of course, maxed out every single piece of armor and most of the tools that I have in the world, too. I just noticed, maybe a good challenge for, like, 1.20 is to get the sword back, I need to actually build a good sword for once. Huh. Now, over here at our little spawn encampment, that's actually just about it. We kept it pretty bare bones over here. That landmark, though, I miss seeing that on the horizon. Sky Tower right there, it's beautiful. That's just about it. I don't think there's anything else over here. However, located approximately nearby, if I could use this elytra and sail straight off over this way, before too long, I'm going to find a completely separate zone. So this area over here, check this out. We've got a swamp biome, and in the sky, you can start to see some well, okay, that's just interesting. It's not actually anything. Instead, we go a little bit farther, get even closer to the swamp, and before too long, we can start to see some strange stuff going on over here at the sky. Over in the swamp biome that we've gone over to on a couple of separate occasions, I've got not one, but two beautifully overpowered farms. Farm number 1 over here is a wonderful slime farm. This thing is fully automatic. I spend some time, stand up there, and get slime. Even better, in 1.21, it's going to work just as good. There is something better over here for 1.21. Before we check that out, though, I did spend quite a bit of time over here to, like, trying to detail it and get this farm, like, beautiful looking, because by the time I was building this farm, I kind of had the idea that I was going to keep this into 1.21, and this was going to be, like, a real long-term world. Oh, yeah, you know, by the way, the reason there's no drops over here is not because the farm doesn't work. No. It's because I took all the drops over to the storage building. Another thing I've been trying to do inside of this world is stay, like, more organized than ever before, and I mean, I don't know. I feel like I'm doing a pretty good job at it, at least, like, since I built the storage building not too long ago. But the farm that I'm a little bit more excited for in 1.21 is this beautiful beauty over here. So this thing on the ground is not going to do too much. However, if I could, say, soar up into the sky, make my way all the way up to sky platform for a quick second, well, all the way up here above this farm, if I look down and I'm, like, patient for a second, witches will be able to spawn. And in 1.21, oh man, with that huge redstone buff, this farm is getting a gigantic upgrade. In fact, this thing is getting such a large upgrade that we might just have to head back over to it and upgrade it a little bit. Maybe add, like, an auto sorter setup or something like that. The other cool thing about this farm, and I think with my default, like, chunk activation range thing, I don't think it's actually active, but from this farm up high, you can see the other farm, which I always think is kind of cool. Oh yes, oh yeah, witches dropping right into it, and they do the entity cramming thing because of the minecarts that I got. Yeah, that farm is going to be an absolute must-have for 1.21. I also set up a little map over here and deforested a large version of the swamp. Don't worry about it, I'll replant it later. Anyways, let's go to the nether. Now, sliding over here into the nether, I do have a little bit of a nether hub situation going on, but it's still relatively bare bones. See, what I'm thinking here, once we update this world to 1.21, maybe I come back in and, I don't know, I could do the hallways, but at the least make proper hubs near each of my portals, and maybe use some of those beautiful, non-mob spawning 1.21 blocks. Following this nether ice highway thing, though, for a little bit of time, we eventually make it over to this portal. This portal right here links up to the nether portal back at spawn. I've got a couple signs inside of the hub, you know, kind of guiding me around, but whatever. Inside of each hub, or at least some of the hubs near the portals, I also have a ladders going down into the main nether. But I think that's just about it for this area. Jumping in this boat, and before too long, the hub, the main base of operations. Through this portal is my pride and joy, my favorite base that we've ever built together. But before we do that, I want to jump into the boat and go even farther down this hallway. This hallway right here is a really long one, but this is a very crucial hallway. Down this hallway, eventually I will find my basalt deposit. That's where I dig up all the basalt for now. Then we get an intersection. Now, I'm not going to go this way, but this leads over to a nether fortress that is insanely overpowered. And definitely, hopefully, before 1.22 drops, we're going to head over to that fortress and make a beautiful wither skeleton farm. For now, though, we turn down the other hallway, go all the way down through this portal, give it a quick second, and just like that, I'm over at the resource desert. The resource desert is sandwiched in between a couple beautiful spots in this world. Never have used it quite yet, but we've got an outpost over there. We have all of this Badlands biome, a gigantic mangrove swamp, and even a desert village and pyramids right nearby. This is kind of like prime location for warm climate. Maybe I could like vacation here or something. So for areas outside of our main base, that's actually just about it. When it comes to everything that we've done so far, we've been very consistent with staying and doing everything over at the Cherry Blossom base. Now this one's a little bit of a throwback for some of you OGs here. I don't know how many of you will actually remember this, but Minecraft Guide Season 3 is actually going to parallel this season a little bit. You see, back in the day, this was recorded mainly at 1.16. Eventually 1.17 dropped, and then we actually headed off to a brand new base and kind of like continued the same world. At the time of that series, that all happened right around episode 120 or so. Now for this series, we're going to do things similar, but a little bit different. What I am absolutely not going to do is abandon this masterpiece of a base that we've been working on for so long. In fact, I don't recall the day number, but we've been over here at this base since about episode number 22. I love it, and there's still so much to do over here. However, and I think we'll talk about this a little bit more in the next episode once the update drops, because it makes more sense there, but we are going to do some cool challenges, like say lock the armor away until I can complete something. Now this is kind of unfortunate, but when we come over to this base right here, we're in the pouring rain, but it's fine, we'll take a look at something inside. But first things first, Camelotl and Camelotl's girlfriend over here, I forget your name. Sweet Petunia, I'm so sorry. And then a mysterious grave to Bonzo, who is currently surviving strong and healthy and well, so I don't know what's going on there. And anyways, this is my starter house over here. With this one, I wanted to go for a medium-sized build and then kind of show off the fact that you could take a one-shape house, so this is just a simple rectangle, and still make it look pretty cool. On the front, we got a little front porch with, haha, one of my missing bees. And then welcome to home sweet home. Now, of course, I did the interior immediately after I built the outside. Yep, definitely, that's how that went. We walk in and we have a little bit of an open concept going on. We've got the kitchen over here where I have a skeleton skull on the... I don't think about it. We got some extra convenient storage, a little bit of lighting. It's kind of beautiful. And then the living room right here. Now, I actually am just now remembering that I wanted to put a dragon skull right there, and I actually am in possession of one now, so maybe I'll come back in and put that there. But yeah, then we got a small little cozy living room with some of the 1.20 blocks. Chisel bookshelf has got to be one of the best additions, alongside these decorated pots from the last update. These things are so good looking. But yeah, you know, it's a nice cozy little interior with some of the world that I've explored, but definitely not all of it. All the way up there is the local stronghold, or at least the closest one that I've found, the only one that I've found up until this point. And that green marker right there is the spawn base that we were just at, and then where we are is all the way down there by the other green marker. Carrying on through the rest of the house, we got the bamboo wall had to with that new update and the yellow accent wall as well. This room right here, for the longest time, you might remember, was the storage building. We have since added, you could say, like at least 3 chests to our storage situation. But yeah, it's kind of where it all started and stayed for like the longest time. Perfect timing. It's becoming sunset, which is a beautiful view normally, and not the pouring rain from the porch, by the way. But perfect timing. Straight upstairs is the master ensuite. It's very fancy right here. We've got a big storage walk-in closet practically with a ton of good gear inside of it. We have a little desk for like writing my poetry and videos by the nightlight, you know. We got a front window right there where you can watch the sunlight. Romantically, after you dim the lights and everything like that, you walk into the double wide bed. Why is it double wide? Well, you do the math, you think about it. But anyways, for me, I sleep. With a brand new day ahead of us, we can walk outside and finally get a great view of the base. Now, I picked this location because cherry blossom, because mountains, and because beautiful, the Swedish fjord. You see, I am Scandinavian king, so of course I needed to locate the beautiful fjord to settle down by. The idea, the concept with the base is to eventually fill in both sides of this thing and then have like a bunch of buildings lighting it to make it really, really impressive. One of the biggest upgrades that I did almost right away is this giant bridge hanging across so we can cut from one side to the other side. Otherwise, this is like a long trip down, like that's 50 or so blocks and then 50 or so back up. That's 100 total, quick math. But technically, the first build that we built over here was the sniffer farm. Keep that in mind though, because we're gonna come back to it. Let's check out the other side first. All the way across the great bridge on the other side, first things first, the statue of the champion. Of course, I voted for the armadillo. Turning around perfectly 180 on the top of the mountain, we can see the other candidate, the penguin, who has since gotten a little snowy on its head. Should probably clean that up. But following the road over here, which is really makeshift, by the way, like kind of temporary. Eventually, once I come back in the next update and build more stuff over here, we'll get a more proper finished road. But following the road over this way, we've got the peak enchanting setup of all time. Over here inside of the basement to the tower, well, one beautiful view looking over at the other side of the base with all of those buildings, the build in the sky, the mob farm. It's a wonderful view. But even more importantly, we've got a bubble column elevator to shoot us right up to the best enchanting setup of all time. I said it. Not only do you have this wonderful view of everything, but I guess everything is enchanted, and what's not enchanted I can't enchant, so just trust me, but it gets you all the way to level 30 perfectly. You also kind of get another view of like other things around here too, the different distant mountains on the horizon, which is really nice to have, and this other cool evil looking tower that I actually kind of accidentally blocked out with this one. From up here, it's like meant to be a cool view from standing in the tower, but also a cool view looking at the tower, and I think I pulled it off pretty nicely. Down here, down below the carpet, a simple little trick, powder snow. It cancels all fall damage if you put carpet on top of it. And with the carpet on top of it, you can never sink into it. Alright, there is one of the things that I learned from one of the comments of the day, but it's kind of like exactly what the Minecraft guide is meant to be. Little tips and tricks throughout every episode, maybe even showing you and explaining like the best enchantments or whatever, you know. It was always meant to be like a guide on how you do stuff while actually doing the stuff in survival. Speaking of actually doing things in survival, the world's largest cookie farm. I can't remember specifically why I ended up building this cookie. I think it was maybe in honor of like day number 30. I wanted a big project for a milestone episode or something like that. Also, excuse the kind of like makeshift forest that I have going on over here. Slowly, what my idea was is to like come back in and fill it in with like beautiful looking trees, but not like too much, because at some point I think I'm going to come over here and either expand Cookie Farm, build a separate large farm, maybe sweet berries, or just more buildings in general. I have this notebook for the series, and it's a notebook, not a diary or anything like that, but a notebook where I write down ideas and plans, and yeah, it's like full of a bunch of stuff that I have to do, including apparently finish this path. I don't know why I never finished that, but I was growing a forest here. It's kind of beautiful, right? Anyways, inside of dark and evil tower that looks poisonous and all of a sudden is very dusty, cobwebby, kind of hard to breathe in there if you have asthma or something. But all the way down in the basement, we have not a single, but a double cave spider spawner setup. If I stand on this crafting table and kind of like AFK for a little bit of time, not only one spawner, but both of these things are active. I would like, you know, be a little more patient, to use more time than I have for today, and let the spiders spawn, take them out, and mend up all of my tools. There's also a wonderful source of string and spider eye for any of my bow and eventual future potion-related needs. I was also trying to make this like an evil dungeon basement thing, so I did like deep slate arches and then cobwebs all over the place and lanterns hanging out on the red floor and the red wood to accent to the spider's eyes. I think this build turned out pretty nice. The other thing that I am absolutely, I promise, definitely going to come back in and make a build for. This is another one of those like journal things that I was just telling you about. I've got a page with like a bunch of to-do list stuff, and it is put a building on top of beautiful, the gigantic oxidizing amethyst farm over here. So we took a geode, cleared it out, and I tried to like basically explode it out. It almost feels like the geode was absolutely massive with the calcite up top. And then we have all of the budding blocks. I don't think I ever accidentally broke a single one. Anytime I need amethyst, I can run over here, harvest the stuff up. I usually have it stockpiled up a little bit more. I need to, like, in between the updates, maybe harvest it a couple of times. But yeah, you use the purple and the yellow complementary colors, by the way, kind of beautiful with the calcite arches in there. And yeah, I think this is my favorite amethyst farm that I've ever built. Eventually, the floor, I am letting it fully oxidize into the green copper as well. I think that'll look really good. So we came in from the bubble column, of course. On the opposite side, I've got a door. What I did with this thing is actually link it up to the mine shaft in which the geode was residing. This mine shaft also coincidentally links up with the poison cave spider spawner. I don't remember exactly where it is. I think it's somewhere down that way. But yeah, it's all like connected and tied together, which is kind of cool. So, with the wonderful amethyst geode farm, I've been trying to go crazy with the details, by the way, in this world. Like, I really have tried to spend more time than I ever have in any world. Minecraft Guide 3, Minecraft Survival that followed it. Well, yeah, I'm trying to, like, come in and fill in with the details slowly over time sometimes. But, yeah, more details, the best, most beautiful world of all time. That's kind of the goal. So, anyways, cutting back across beautiful Swedish fjord right here, we will find a statue. Let's just say an interdimensional demon conned me into building this. They gave me the blueprint, the plans to build it, told me to build it, so I built it, and it ended up, it's just terrible. Now, by the time you see this world in 1.21, a bunch of these trees that I'm growing along the path are going to be fully grown in and beautiful tall trees. We got birch trees, and then I'm trying to make gigantic oak trees. One has actually grown while I've been working on this episode, and it's kind of like the disappointment child of the whole family, so I'm going to tear that down and try and get it a little larger and hopefully over the path or something. The idea with this base is to have cherry blossom trees, native biome after all, but also gigantic oak trees. They're beautiful, and then from time to time, birch trees as well. However, this area right here was meant to be a tree garden showing off every single type of wood in the entire game. I've got jungle, dark oak, you know, every single tree, you name it, it's right there, other than the nether wood trees. I felt that didn't really fit there, and bamboo, it's kind of like its own different thing, so I didn't put it there either. While we're over here, though, by the bridge, right past the danger zone, incident zone of episode number something. Well, right past that zone, we have a small, quaint little build. The trees that I'm going to clean up, don't worry about it. Oh, doggy daycare. One of our most recent, in fact, the most recent build inside of this world. The dogs, the beautiful ones from 1.20.5, all over this build, and sweet to Bones. Oh, that's Bones right there, looking so good. So excited for 1.21, by the way. Well, we've got a little bit of a long-term goal inside of this world to collect every single type of dog. We actually already have the most rare one, and then we've got the red wolf, or I forget your name. Is it Red Wolf? So down the road from Doggy Daycare, right next to it, we have a beautiful containment facility for the alley that I went out into the world and rescued. Inside of this thing, we've got basically everything you could ever dream of when it comes to the alley. I have alley flying around. I've got a jukebox. I've got a music disc. You know, you got the music disc. You can play it from time to time, and then you've got alley. If they can get close enough, you feed them, what, the amethyst right there and duplicate them. It's pretty sweet. Though I haven't gotten to use them too much quite yet, I do have quite a few collection systems planned with the alley in mind. And then, walking out of this door right here, we kind of have a little bit of a dead end of a path. Eventually, I'm planning on cutting this all the way out that way towards the heart of our world, but for now, it's kind of just a brick wall with the industrial zone backing up to it. On the other side of the wall is that whole garden thing I was talking about, but let's talk about the industrial zone, and warning, this is about to get real loud because, oh boy, world's greatest villager breeder. This thing is, I mean, it's a machine. I built the villager breeder a while ago. These are the two parents right there, and they have created over 1,000 small children. Look at this thing, it's insane. Any new villagers that I need for the update? Yeah, not a problem. I have since blocked it off with a couple of blocks because they need to calm down. They love each other too much. This thing doesn't really actually connect up to anything right now, but I think I might turn this pathway around or maybe just add to it and have it link up to the eventual road that's going to be over there. Frodor. I don't talk to Frodor very much. Kind of got some bad tendencies, but Frodor is living in the industrial area currently, but it's a little bit more of a squatting situation, if you catch the vibe. Oh, what adorable kitten, a small calico kitten. I wish I had time to capture you today. I don't think I still have a single kitten in this entire world that I've tamed. Anyways, let's backtrack a little bit. We'll come back to the industrial zone. The other paths I just realized link up to somewhere else in the world. Back down here, it was like a small temporary building that I used to house some villagers when I went out into the world and found them. It has since been abandoned and will most likely forever be abandoned until I can think of a better use for it. It's meant to just be a small building sitting right on the fjord right there, and I don't know, I think it's beautiful. The simple little roof line, cool red wood, it's nice. On the other hand, the sniffer farm. Oh yeah, you bet I use this one. This thing is constantly running inside of the world. We've got a couple sniffers inside of there, including Betty and Jean. And then over here inside of the building, whoa, yeah, I'm stocking up on the flowers. The flowers, this farm has been running for a long time. I actually have to go and replant the garden that I have since basically converted into the sniffer flower garden right behind it. So we kind of built the sniffer farm like ASAP right away once we moved out here because the sniffer was new. I was excited. This thing, on the other hand, this was originally the crop farm over here, powered by bees, crop variation. You know, you use all the tricks for it. Since then, I haven't really used this very much, and instead I've been doing the flowers here. I'm thinking about maybe in 1.21 converting this entirely into a sniffer flower farm because, I mean, it just makes sense. It's right next to the sniffer farm. Maybe I like add a door on this side or something so I can cut right out here. But yeah, it's kind of a nice hub, like central zone of the world as well. I like to walk around in here because of how the buildings are sitting in the land and everything. I feel so small, and I just like love that feeling in a world where you like, you know, can look in every direction and there's builds. Which, by the way, that's another one of the goals with this world, is to make it feel really complete and full. So I've tried to, like, basically pick a spot and expand from that spot and slowly, like, you know, keep adding buildings to it instead of picking a random spot off in the middle of nowhere and saying, hey, that's gonna be the next build. By using that build tactic and then coming in and filling it in with small little details as well, like this statue, I think it starts to lead to a world that feels really, really whole, full, and solid. Now, moving over here, we have the side of my little starter cabin. Then we've got a small local village with a couple of the most important villagers in the world. Stop number 1, Sweet Mendels. Mendels is the mending villager, very soon going to grow up into an even important villager. But for now, we've got the villager just chilling inside of this safe house. It's a nice cozy space. You got the fireplace, you've got bookshelves, everything a librarian could dream of. And beautifully, perfectly put, we have actual enchanted books inside of this thing. This is where most of them are actually stored inside of the world, at least for now. Moving back outside, right next door, we've got another villager friend, and this time, the pottery sherd right there, and this little map icon. It's kind of giving away as to what's going on inside of this thing. We have our resident map villager named Mapples. Tragically, inside of this next update, well, I mean, beautifully, but also tragically, this trade is, well, I mean, it could have been so much more. But for now, anyways, we have a cartographer master villager that takes us all the way up to that globe banner pattern. And then a small house with a little domed room for the villager to live in. Now, no spoilers here today, but I actually have plans for another building that's going to sit right in here and finish off this little courtyard area. Smack dab dead center in the courtyard, we've got none other than the working Minecraft clock. At nighttime, like as soon as you can sleep in a bed, when the sun goes far enough down, the light turns on. With this clock tower being so tall, from a lot of spots inside the base, I could turn around and look at the clock tower, simply see if the light is on, and know if I need to head over to a bed. I also have this cool little portal in the center. It looks a lot better, I promise, with connected textures with Optifine. So we're just gonna have to wait for a while or go back a couple episodes to see it. But right now it kind of looks a little goofy, doesn't it? Back over here, though, we have this little pathway that walks up next to this building. Mysterious. What is it? I don't know. We'll find out in a minute, because before that, we need to walk over here. Over here, down below this floating thing in the sky, I have the drop-off area for the mob farm of the world. This thing will get us bones, arrows, gunpowder, rotten flesh, string, and then actually, occasionally, some of the witch drops as well. It's an all-in-one mob farm where the mobs spawn inside of the thing, move over with water, and then fall all the way down here. Now that we have this handy little elytra, though, I'm thinking about maybe going up into the sky, doing an episode all about, like, optimizing mob farms or something and making an AFK platform. Right next to that mob farm is the Elytra Test Course, officially named the Sky Track, that we built when we got the Elytra and enchanted it, and, you know, talked about how to use it and fly. Now, let's see. Probably get the best view of the other mob statue inside of the world that I built for the Minecraft mob vote this year. We got to move over here with some scaffolding, and voila. Oh, it's beautiful. The wonderful crab that we could have had in 1.20.5. It's so cool looking. I built a small little statue right there, and no, I didn't betray my pet dogs and vote for the crabs foolishly. No, I didn't do that. All right, so here we are entering the final leg of the tour here today. Next up, we've got this machine that is going to need an upgrade for Minecraft 1.21, maybe at least. The bamboo farm. This thing overproduces and then produces a little bit more. I used to have even more chests actually sitting around here. That's what I was just looking for. But I've since actually started to condense things down into the storage building over there. But yeah, when it comes to bamboo, this thing is a titan. I set this thing up a long time ago and it's just been running in the background. I actually haven't used very much bamboo too, so I have insane stockpiles of it. On the inside, I never harvested because I like the beautiful bamboo growing through the roof, but on the inside, I have even more bamboo for a manual farm, if I ever wanted. Carrying right along this pathway right here, we have the all-in-one, the ultimate cow crusher farm. If I flick this lever, the pistons go down and harvest all of the crops growing in there, and then on the inside, I've got the cow crusher. Usually inside of that chest, or inside of this chest, I've got extra wheat sitting around. I can go up here and feed all the cows and get a little bit of extra food. On the other hand, if I'm an old-fashioned lad, I can walk across the rest of the room and, you know, feed the cows manually, take them out with, say, like a looting thing or something like that. I also built in this small smoker setup over here so I can cook up any of the meats that I have, like, right away efficiently. Straight across the road is an ancient build that we built inside of this world. Unfortunately, I've never been able to, like, decorate around this thing due to my severe and immense anxiety. You see, I didn't turn the fire spread game rule off because I don't know, I like to leave it like naturally on, but by not turning it off, I have the lava up top and I don't know how exactly it works. Will I start a forest fire in my base if I put beautiful bushes over here? I don't know. This is one of the best farms that you could build for yourself in a world though, because the lava buckets are one of the best sources of fuel of all time. Downstairs, I actually was emptying out lava buckets too and placing the sources down to just store the overflow. I had built it before I had an iron farm, so I couldn't just build like infinite buckets, you know. However, speaking of iron farm, I have since built a beautiful iron farm, and this thing is a producer. I've got blocks, I've got roses, poppies, whatever, and I've got infinite iron. This thing is so wonderful. Every once in a while, an iron golem spawns up top, flows off of the thing immediately because of the water, burns up inside of that lava right there, and turns itself into iron. Now this is kind of at the heart of the world. I wanted to set this up in a spot that I knew would always be loaded in. Right next to it, I've got the tall, gigantic sugarcane farm. When it comes to getting sugarcane, the first floor is usually the floor that I use the most. However, if I ever am in a situation where I need even more paper right now, I can go higher up, or wait for it, higher up. Now, all the way at the top of this thing, we have a nice view of the world. You can stand here and look over the valley. Eventually, once there's more stuff built over there, it'll look really, really good. But for now, I mean, it's just like a decent view up high. I've got that quick access all the way back down to the bottom too, and even some secret storage on the side of the room that is, I guess, all the way full. So let's actually cut by the iron farm, which I wanted to make a really rough and raw feeling area. Running through this area, we'll come back to it in a second, we get over to the rest of the industrial zone. Right here, we've got a big factory. This is the Moss Machine 3000. If I ever need anything that comes from moss, maybe azalea saplings or something, I bone meal right there, the stuff grows. Then right over here, I hit this button. It gets picked up right away by itself, and the thing's going to the hopper. It's a nice and simple farm for collecting up these beautiful azaleas that I like to decorate with. And meanwhile, over here, if I ever need to grow more moss, I put dirt down and bone meal the block right there, and it spreads and turns into moss. Now over here, I have a path that kind of ends to nothing. I was thinking about maybe building like a skywalk or something, connect up to that or whatever. And then tied to the industrial zone, which continues on the other side of that building, by the way, but tied to it, we have the big dig, the gigantic chunk that I cleared all the way out. This chunk goes from the top of the mountain up there, 100 and something, all the way down to bedrock. Down here at the bottom, I got a little guide for myself if I ever forget, or anyone else who downloads the world to check it out. Where is the best layer to find redstone? Well, approximately Y -58. And same thing for everything else. Turning around, I've got my simple little branch mine, and over here, very sneaky, we have a cut over to the deep dark biome. Inside of the deep dark biome, I also found something insanely beautiful. I think it's right here. Right up here. And also, we found an ancient city that we're going to take on at 1.21 as well. But right over here, I found myself a little spawner. I haven't done anything with it yet, but I have big plans for you, friend. That's the beauty of, I think, what we're doing with this world this time. Instead of resetting, going back to the beginning and doing all the basic early stuff, we get to check out some of the more like late game content and more advanced farms that we can build. I'm so excited to do that once we get past the small setup that we're going to do, like a couple episodes first in 1.21. Alright, so all the way back over at the top, let's go back over this way and turn to where there's an imaginary invisible path right here. I'm gonna do something. I talked about it before when we were finishing up the world for this big update, but I don't know what to do. I kind of want to put a different path in, but at the same time, I don't want to use the same blocks that I use on the buildings, and I kind of use all of the gray blocks of the buildings, so I don't know what to do. I've got a little to-do list for 1.21, no spoilers, and then right here, beautiful, the dripstone farm. This is a newer build inside of the world. It runs very slowly, but it does run and collects up pointed dripstone. Small little detailed campsite right there, but on the back side of the farm, I also have this thing fully finished. The dripstone is also growing over here, getting harvested and sent over to the front collection chest. Small little access doorway as well, but this is only for employees. So if you're not an employee, I better not catch you in there. Oh, the magnum opus, my beautiful build. I'm so proud of this thing. I gotta detail up the area around it. We were waiting to do that until I fill it in more with buildings, though. You know, it's all a process, but we'll come back to it. Before we do that, the other industrial zone building. So actually rewinding things for a second, back on the outside, I wanted to try a BOOian inspired building technique of a mossy cobblestone with the mossy blocks, and then I did green up top, and I don't know. I'm just so proud of how this actually looks. And moving over to the inside, though, it's a triple decker of a clay farm. You could grow, I don't know if that's the word for it. You could make clay inside of this building 3 floors at a time right here. I had built this, buddy, because all of the time I was running out of clay for these beautiful decorated pots, but then also just things like bricks in general. And yeah, it worked out pretty nice. It's a small, simple build, but a build that I'm pretty happy with. Also, I have an apparent captive that chose to be there, I promise. Over here is a makeshift sheep pen. Very soon we will build a beautiful farm for it and mine ancient debris for netherite armor. Another big thing I want to do in 1.21, but for today, last and hopefully not least, we have a beautiful, gigantic storage cathedral. I think, if I'm being honest, this is my best built building ever in all of my time of playing Minecraft. We walk into it, and on the first floor, a big, grand room. We got this moody shag, a purple carpet with a demonic demon burb right there, who keeps insisting this is his world. And then I have essential storage over here. We've got things like wood on this side, a little bit of stone over there, and then more nature-related blocks right here. With this building, my goal was to build more storage inside of it, so I would get questions about it in the comments. I succeeded with that one, and then also I would be able to expand and theoretically have a chest for every single thing in the game if I wanted to. Things like end stuff, haven't checked it out quite yet too much, but yeah, we got space for it. This hallway right here is the overflow hallway, so like all of the pink flowers that I keep collecting, yeah, I can go ahead and keep every single one of them. On the ground floor down here, on the other side of this building right here, we have a little bit of a balcony. It's not really used right now, and then I actually have doors that go into the towers. Right now, every single tower is unused, but I have an idea for something inside of them later. Back over here in the ground floor, nether hallway right now, end hallway right now, and then we've got the staircase all the way up to the top floor. To conclude our tour today, we have an area that is just like a little cozy, a little simple, an area that will slowly be filled in once I have more things to fill it in with heavy cores, maybe different shirts or whatever, different banner patterns. Yeah, we will make this area come to life eventually, I promise you, including armor trim right there. Yeah, that'll look good. On this side, I've got different valuables, the current diamond count in the world. I mean, I'm not doing too bad. And then on the other side, I have all of the mob drops and things that I have so far, with so much extra space to expand when we expand. Overall, I know there's definitely room and opportunities for more things inside of this area, like more pots and more stuff on the wall or whatever, but where it stands right now, the chandeliers up top, the small back balcony so I can launch the elytra off of, I mean, I'm really happy with this build. I'm pretty proud of myself. But speaking of a launch off, the World Tour Minecraft Guide 1.20, the first chapter, or maybe second chapter if you want to count the early game, 1 through 20 as chapter 1. Either way, the Minecraft 1.20 era of this world, it now concludes. Overall, everything that we've done in this world, I'm so happy with it so far, and I can't wait to actually get to update the world, wipe some chunks, hopefully find a chamber nearby, and, you know, just add on to the big giant base and build even more to it. One of my favorite views of this base so far is gotta be this one right here with the elytra soaring in towards all of the builds. It's so cool looking. The tall spikes, I just love it. I'm so excited for Minecraft 1.21 and this world to be back in it a little bit more and just do more farms, builds, and everything like it. Down below, drop me a challenge, something that I should do at the beginning of the game in Minecraft 1.21. Maybe trial chambers, gotta find one to re-unlock the armor, or even take it on and get a wind charge to unlock the armor. Ooh, that's cool. Anyways, though, let me know about your favorite build in the world down below. Genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, thank you all for the support on this chapter chunk of the Minecraft Guide season. It's been so fun to work on it, and really, genuinely, I know it's cliche for YouTubers to say, but I wouldn't have been able to do it without you. If you're looking for a world download, tap the join button, and if you'd like early access to these episodes, then check out my Patreon. It's linked down below. All of my other links are in the description. Thank you all so much again for watching. It's been me, Wattles, and I'll see you in Minecraft 1.21. Goodbye, everyone.